Alright, this is a redo of the video I put up last night that didn't come out right. Alright, so we've got the bumper brackets, which are the extensions of the frame horns basically, that this sits on. Got the bolts lined up. Like I said, I had to trim this up. I had to take, you know, a pretty good chunk off all the way across. You can see cuts pretty straight now instead of curved. Now the bumper fits up like it's supposed to. The holes line up. But as you can see, it kind of goes downhill. That's an easy fix. What I'm going to do is, you know, the bolts go through this frame here. This frame here. Then it goes through 4 inches open space. And then there's another frame horn that it goes into. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this to length. Okay, that'll go in between the frame and the bottom of this piece here. The bolt will go through this and I'll tighten it down on the bolts on that pipe. That'll level the bumper out. That'll keep it where it needs to be. And then what I'll do in between the bolts is I will put a piece of square box and weld it. And that'll strengthen it up. And then plus I have to put 2 cross beams, basically X beams, to keep the bumper from racking and vibrating basically while you're going down the road. The other thing I've done is I went ahead and got 2 marker lights. You know, really from this angle you don't see anything. You know, if it was sticking out in an intersection, you don't really see the marker lights too well. You've seen in the other video where I have my cable routed and laying here. I have this all wired up. It's in the cab. I just got to put the big fuse in. Got a pretty big fuse for it. That's a 60 amp. Will power everything in the cabin, and each individual item will have its own fuse, probably 15 amp. We went ahead and run our cables from the console out here, and then the power for the horn and them marker lights out there is already out there. Now, what we are doing is, now, let me get this dinging. That's what drives me nuts, is that ding, ding, dang. Okay, what I went and done is I have links of this 12 and 14 gauge old extension cord that I get from time to time, that they're too short to put ends on. It's too expensive because the ends are $2-3 a piece. By the time you put 2 decent ends on it, you can buy a whole other extension cord. So anyways, what I did is I have, you know, you got 4 cords coming out. You're gonna like, what the hell are them? Each one of them has its own green, its own black, and its own white wire. So what I have is I have A, B, and C. Each one of them are labeled A, B, and C. They're labeled up here A, B, and C. And then I will label each wire what they do. So I will actually put a tag inside this console that cable A, white wire, goes to, say, white lights in the cab. B will be strobe lights on the back. You know, you follow me. You know, we're getting down to, you know, basically just getting electrical done. I've left the door panels off only so I can get in here and work and not have door panels in my way in case I have to do anything to the insides of the doors. I still have to get online. Well, let me step back. Like I said, I ran my cables through the floor yesterday and I siliconed them so the silicone would dry and it would be relatively tough so you could pull on it and not pull it out of the floor. I will anchor these and anchor them to the floor. I'll anchor them inside the box and I'll anchor them out here. So there's no way you could accidentally pull them and knock them loose. Like I said, they're great for, you know, I wouldn't say if you were, I guess, doing this professionally, because you would want every wire to have its own color and every wire to, you know, have its own gauge and blah, blah, blah. You follow what I'm saying? But the problem you run into is all of those wires get relatively expensive. You know, you figure a roll of 18 gauge electrical wire, 50 feet, will cost you between $7 and $15, depending on where you buy it. You can go through 15 feet. Well, 15 feet wouldn't go from the corner of this cab to the back twice. This thing's 10 feet long or more. So that would make one pass and then halfway back. That's a 15-foot piece of wire. You know, if you buy a 50-foot roll like I was just talking about, you know, it wouldn't make, what, 5 passes? That wouldn't power very much. You know, everything's got to have its own ground. Everything's got to have a signal wire. You follow what I'm getting at. It's just not very cost effective. When I have these, I can label them. Chances are nobody's going to have to work on this thing anyways, I hope. And if they do, I'm around. They can ask. We've still got to get a headliner done. I pulled the headliner down and pulled the material off because it was all drooping, and they washed the material and it shrunk. And you can't have the material under tension when you re-glue it, because what happens is that tension constantly pulling will pull it loose. So I've got to get a piece of material. And like I said, I've got my horn. It's run from inside out here. It's anchored all the way across. And let me go around the other side here real quick. I'm trying to redo this video and keep it relatively short without having to redo 3 videos. See, I took that out so I could get to my wiring. I have the horn wired up. It's anchored up there at the top. Everything's anchored. The lights are plugged in. They have butt connectors. They're dielectric greased, and they are also taped. And then, you know, I have a light over here. You know, it's just a matter of getting this bolted back up probably this afternoon. Getting my other light in. I have to make a panel to cover this hole, which is a relatively easy fix there. I've had a bad sinus infection for about a week, and I'm just now getting over it. See, you can't see anything in here. Well, there we go. That's what we got going on for now.